Hello again, my internet friends. It has been entirely too long. Anyway, as I've mentioned in the last couple of videos that I've made, which have been over the last couple of months, I started a job about 6 weeks ago, so that's kept me sort of away from my little home studio setup here, which is why it hasn't changed in the last few weeks. It's also just kept me away from the house in general. I'm having to drive about 2 hours a day, working really long hours, learning a lot, accomplishing a lot. But anyway, I wanted to get back to making videos on this channel, so I thought I'd start off with one that's tech related, but also kind of related to what I'm doing for work in that I'm driving as much as I am to and from. A little while back, a company offered to send me out one of these, and I decided to just go ahead and buy it for myself because it never actually came through. Picked one at random, found one that had pretty good reviews. This is the Zeepin TPMS, Tire Pressure Monitor System. My wife and I have two cars. Our primary car is a Ford Edge. It's newer, so it actually has built-in tire pressure monitoring, but the car that I've been driving back and forth, which gets better gas mileage, is a couple of years older Subaru Legacy. It has tire pressure monitoring, but it doesn't actually give you a readout of what the pressure is, and I'm pretty sure one of my tires has a leak in it, so I thought this might be a good fit. But without any further ado, let's just go ahead and open it up. We'll take a look at what comes inside the box. I probably won't go much into the installation process because this is supposed to be pretty straightforward, and then I'll try it out for maybe a couple of days and give you the follow-up opinion before I close this out. So, inside of this mess that I've made of the box already, foam, the TPMS, Solar Energy TPMS User's Manual and Installation Guide, sensor FL, front left, rear left, rear right, A, B, C, D. You've got your functions and feature, your parameters, some little diagrams of the actual unit in use, some operating instructions. I'll read over these when I do have time. But then on the back, of course, external sensor installation. It shows you take off the existing cap and you have to put an anti-dismantle pad on the sensor's airlock. That's one of the things that I read that people really didn't like about this, was that there's some anti-theft stuff to it. That's kind of a good, kind of a bad thing. It means if you want to take the off to actually put air in your tire, you have to have this special tool. It's also got info on here about replacing the batteries in the sensors themselves, and voltages and working temperatures and everything if you want to just stop and pause and read any of that. Otherwise though, this appears to be a sticky pad, a little bit of an anti-slip pad for what I can only assume is the main unit. And one of the reasons that I picked this over some of the other ones actually plug in using like a cigarette lighter or micro USB. This one does have a micro USB port on it, but it also has this large solar panel on it, meaning that I can just set it on top of my dashboard and it should charge the battery inside of it. I'll probably start off by giving it a full charge using micro USB, but then from then on, hopefully it will stay charged using the solar panel. So you can see it right there. It's got a couple of buttons on the top, left, right, and set. Actually, it says plus, minus, and set. There's your display on the front, and that's about all there is to it. Looks like there's possibly some fans to it as well. Hopefully nothing that's terribly loud. Decently small little unit though. And again, a little anti-slip pad that you can kind of attach to the bottom to keep it from sliding around on your dashboard. We've also got the 4 tire pressure sensors, front left, rear left. The included tool that you'll use to work with them, although I don't have the slightest clue how to actually, I'm just gonna have to read the guide, I'm sure. Aha, the little tool comes apart. So you twist it and then it pops apart, but I don't really have a clue beyond that. So we'll figure it out when the time comes. Aha, this little thing pops off as well. Let me do this so you can see it. This little piece here on the bottom of the sensor, you just kind of stick your fingernail under and pull it up. And then presumably you put it inside of one side of this tool. The other side of the tool will grab hold of the little threads there and give it a twist. And it says to continue twisting it until it comes off. Twist it counterclockwise. So it is loosening up. Yeah, and after a little bit of twisting there, this pops out, and you do have a little watch cell battery in there, and you might be able to see it on there. It says CR1632, so it's not a watch cell exactly, but close enough in my opinion. Pop it back in, and then we should be able to twist it back down into place, and that's what we use the other side of this for, is to give us a little grip. There we go. Tightly back on. And then looking at it again, it says unscrew the dust-proof cap, put the anti-dismantle pad on the sensor lock. So we put this thing back in place. Screw and tighten corresponding sensor according to the marking. Reversely twist the hexagonal nut into the sensor with nut wrench, then spray the suds on the valve to check for air leakage. So I'm guessing that I take one of these 4 nuts, the hex nuts, put it on there all the way, and then screw it back on to tighten up against this. And just looking inside the manual here, it says the display will wake up automatically from sleep mode when it feels vibrations from the car. Press and hold the minus button to turn the display on and off. The sensors will be activated when the vehicle hits a speed of 10 miles per hour. Reading a little bit fast here. When the tire pressure falls outside of the set range or a tire is losing air, it will sound an alert. Good thing I read that, because if it started beeping or putting an alarm or something, I'd probably have a little freak out. Anyway, let's hold the minus button, see if it comes on. So that's beeping. And presumably that's what the alarm will sound like. And it's going through and detecting all of them at 0. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back off for now. You can see maybe over there, the battery. So the battery in itself is almost full. And there it goes off. So this appears to have a charge in it, and the sensors appear to be at least kind of working. It seems to be registering that they exist. So what I will try to do is tomorrow I will go out, stick these on my car, and I probably won't show that because it's basically just going to be put these little nuts onto each of the air stems of the car tires, screw these onto the top of the air stem, and then back the nut off until they meet. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try. We'll let you know how this works. Okay, and as far as I understand, I think I'm doing this correctly. I've got the nut on there behind this sensor. So now if I screw this down into place, you might have heard it leaked a little bit of air there as it was going on. Then I can sort of move this nut back into place, use the little angled included wrench to tighten up against it. And with the other ones, and I'll probably do it with this one as well, I can put this little tool in place to give me some extra grip and put the wrench on the back side to make sure they're both tight against each other. And that should be about it. So I suppose at this point I'll go ahead and turn on the inside unit, start driving, and see what happens when I hit 10 miles an hour. Well, I drove around a little bit. I got over the 10 mile per hour recommended speed, and it looks like it's kind of working. So maybe the front left has a dead battery, and the rear right, it may actually be accurate there, but it looks like rear left and front right are both 32 PSI. I was able to adjust what it shows and all the settings and everything. By the way, this pad, it's not sticky, it's slightly grippy, so not a fan of that. I would rather have something that actually sticks in place properly. But anyway, if you hold the set button, just a couple of seconds, beeps a lot. Right now it says PSI. By default, it said BAR. And we'll hit the button again, it goes back to PSI. That's what we use here in the States. Hit it again. It said Celsius by default. I hit the minus button and it switched from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Again, what we prefer here. It says the high is 44, so it's going to alarm if it goes over 44 PSI. The low is 29, so if it's under 29 pounds, it's going to complain. And then the high temperature, 158. There shouldn't be any low temperature. Then we hold set once we're all done. And again, we're back. And actually, it looks like we'll turn the alarm off again. But it looks like the front left is responding appropriately now. So it says, maybe you can see that, it's actually showing temperature for all the wheels. So it's saying like 95, 88, 86, and 84, but then 10 PSI for this one. So I think what I need to do at this point is probably go back home, because I left the tool at home, and put some air in this back tire and see if that changes. And now back at home, I've got my tire inflator on here, and as you can see, it's inflated to about 34, maybe 35 PSI. But now that I've gone ahead and reinstalled that sensor, if I come back over to this monitor that I pulled out of the car, it did update automatically to 33. And now as I'm driving around, I can sort of keep an eye on it and see when that rear right tire drops again. But all in all, to go ahead and wrap this up, it may not be 100% perfectly accurate, but I am glad to have this as an option. So when I'm driving around, I should be able to see if the tire pressure changes. For example, if I have a slow leak in this tire, the included temperature doesn't really make a whole lot of difference to me, especially given it looks like it's way, way off on at least one of them. The only couple of things that I can really say about it, one, the little extra wrench you have to keep with you in order to take the sensors off if you need to put air in or something, having to keep that wrench with you kind of stinks, but it's for security. In theory, you might actually be able to just take those little extra hex nuts off and not use them. The other thing is just, again, that little anti-slip pad. It keeps it from slipping around. I did drive back and forth to work today with it, and I didn't have any issues. So as long as the battery holds out, and I'm gonna keep it turned off when I'm not using it, as long as that solar cell keeps recharging it, I'll be curious to see how this does in the long run. So let me know what you think about it. For 50 bucks, I thought it was kind of a gimme investment, and I'll just see how it works. So thank you guys, as always, for watching. Stay tuned. We'll try to get more videos going as time permits. We'll see you again real soon, hopefully.